Lieutenant Colonel Jin Park walked into the massive meeting room on Nexus Prime Station. The circular chamber buzzed with alien voices speaking in dozens of languages. Representatives from across the galaxy had gathered for the emergency defense meeting. Jin's boots clicked on the metal floor as he made his way to the human section. The other species barely looked at him. To them, humans were just another weak race that needed protection. Commander Zethkar stood at the center of the room. The reptilian saurian was nearly 8 feet tall with thick scales and powerful claws. His yellow eyes swept across the assembly with obvious pride. "We face a new threat," Zethkar announced. His voice boomed through the chamber. "The Void Swarm approaches our borders. Intelligence reports show they consume entire worlds." Admiral Velthari clicked her mandibles in agreement. The insectoid leader's compound eyes reflected the room's lights like jewels. "Our hive calculations show they will reach core systems within 6 months," she said in her mechanical voice. Other alien commanders nodded. The Karathi with their energy manipulation abilities, the Zenthari with their advanced cybernetic implants, the Vaxian telepaths, all proud of their superior evolution. Zethkar gestured to a holographic display. "Each species will contribute according to their strengths. The Karathi will provide energy shields. The Zenthari offer plasma weapons. The Vaxians will coordinate communications." Jin raised his hand. "What about human forces?" A ripple of quiet laughter spread through the room. Zethkar's expression showed barely hidden amusement. "Ah, yes. The humans," Zethkar said. "Your people can handle supply lines, transport duties, perhaps medical support." "We have experienced soldiers," Jin replied firmly. "Battle-tested infantry, special operations teams." Velthari's head tilted. "Your species lacks natural weapons. No claws, no armor plating, no venom. Your physical capabilities are below galactic average." "We adapt," Jin said. "We use tools. We work as teams." "Primitive chemical projectiles," scoffed a Zenthari general. His cybernetic arm whirred as he pointed at Jin. "We evolved past such crude weapons millennia ago." Zethkar nodded. "Your tactics are chaotic, inefficient. You lack proper coordination protocols." "Sometimes chaos works," Jin argued. "Unpredictability can be an advantage." The room erupted in dismissive sounds. Clicks, hisses, and electronic buzzes filled the air. "Inefficient pack behavior," Velthari stated coldly. "Our hive mind coordination ensures perfect tactical execution. Your individualistic nature creates weakness." A massive Karathi commander stood up. His energy field crackled around his body like controlled lightning. "My people can generate shields that deflect any weapon. What can humans offer that compares?" Jin felt frustration building in his chest. These aliens saw only their own strengths. They refused to understand what made humans different. "We have auxiliary forces," Jin began. "Specialized units that work with—" "Enough," Zethkar interrupted. "This discussion wastes time. Humans will support rear operations. Transport, medical, supplies. Leave the fighting to evolved species." The meeting continued with tactical planning. The aliens discussed plasma cannon formations and energy shield matrices. They calculated optimal hive mind communication frequencies, everything based on their advanced technology and superior physical abilities. Captain Lee Min-jun, Jin's aide, leaned close to whisper, "Sir, should we mention the K9 units?" Jin shook his head slightly. "They wouldn't understand." "Not yet." As the meeting ended, assignments were handed out. The Saurians would lead the front assault. The insectoids would coordinate fleet movements. The Karathi would establish defensive barriers. Humans received rear guard duties. Transport ships, medical stations, supply convoys, nothing that mattered in the real fighting. Jin gathered his papers as the aliens filed out. Their conversations buzzed with confidence. They spoke of easy victory and swift defeat of the primitive swarm. Commander Zethkar approached Jin with a condescending smile. Do not feel ashamed, human. Not every species is built for warfare. Your people serve better in support roles. We'll see, Jin replied quietly. Your chemical weapons and pack tactics might work against other primitives, Zethkar continued, but the Void Swarm adapts quickly. They learn. Only superior technology and evolved abilities can defeat them. Jin nodded politely but said nothing more. There was no point in arguing. These aliens would learn soon enough. As Jin and Lee left the meeting room, they walked through corridors filled with alien military personnel. Saurian soldiers marched in perfect formation. Zenthari cyborgs moved with mechanical precision. Karathi energy wielders practiced their abilities. They have no idea what's coming, Lee said when they were alone. No, Jin agreed. They see only what they expect to see. Advanced weapons, superior evolution, perfect coordination. Should we try to explain? Jin shook his head. They wouldn't listen. They think we're primitive, weak, inefficient. They reached the human section of the station. It was smaller than the others, reflecting humanity's status in galactic society. But Jin knew something the aliens didn't. Humans had survived on a world filled with predators. They had evolved alongside creatures that could kill them easily. They had learned to work together not just with their own kind, but with other species. Jin activated his personal communicator. Sergeant Chen, prepare for deployment. Yes, sir, came the reply. Should I ready the special units? All of them, Jin said. They want to see what humans can do. Let's show them. Lee looked puzzled. Sir, what about our assignments? Jin smiled for the first time that day. We'll handle rear support. But when their perfect plans fail, when their superior technology isn't enough, they'll come asking for help. And then? Then they'll meet our auxiliary forces, Jin said. They'll learn what makes humans different, what makes us survivors. Outside the station's windows, stars glittered in the darkness. Somewhere out there, the Void Swarm was coming. The aliens prepared with confidence in their advanced abilities, but they had never seen what happened when humans went to war with their oldest allies. The alarm sirens wailed across the Kepler 442 system. Emergency lights flashed red throughout the galactic fleet as sensor readings confirmed the worst fears. Commander Zethkar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical display with growing concern. Dark shapes emerged from the void between stars, thousands of them. The Void Swarm had arrived. Begin the assault, Zethkar commanded. His Saurian fleet moved into attack formation. Energy weapons charged, plasma cannons powered up. This would be easy. The first wave of swarm creatures looked like living asteroids. Rocky shells covered in writhing tentacles. They moved without engines, somehow propelling themselves through space using unknown methods. Fire, Zethkar ordered. Brilliant energy beams lanced out from the Saurian ships. The weapons that had conquered dozens of worlds struck the swarm creatures directly. Explosions lit up space like new stars. When the light faded, the swarm creatures kept coming. Their rocky shells showed burn marks but no real damage. The energy weapons that should have destroyed them had barely scratched their surfaces. Impossible, breathed a Saurian officer. Our weapons are the most advanced in the galaxy. Admiral Velthari's insectoid fleet joined the battle. Her ships moved in perfect coordination, every action calculated by the hive mind. Plasma torpedoes streaked toward the swarm in precise patterns. The swarm creatures simply absorbed the plasma. Their shells glowed briefly, then returned to normal. They had somehow adapted to the energy weapons in real time. Tactical error, Velthari announced over the communication channel. Recalculating attack vectors. But the swarm wasn't waiting. The creatures suddenly burst apart like seed pods. Each one released hundreds of smaller organisms. These new forms moved fast, zigzagging through space in chaotic patterns. The small swarm units swarmed over the alien ships. They ate through energy shields like acid. Advanced armor plating crumbled under their attack. Perfect formation flying became useless when the enemy moved like a cloud of angry insects. Lieutenant Colonel Jin Park watched the battle from the human support fleet. His ships hung back at a safe distance, following their assigned role. But Jin studied every detail of the fighting. "Sir," Captain Lee said nervously, "shouldn't we help them?" "They don't want our help," Jin replied. "They're handling this with superior technology and evolution, remember?" On the main display, a Zenthari battleship exploded as swarm creatures ate through its hull. The cyborg crew's advanced implants meant nothing when their ship fell apart around them. Karathi energy wielders tried to create defensive barriers. Their personal force fields flickered and died as the swarm somehow drained their power. Creatures that should have been stopped by energy shields passed right through. "This is Commander Zethkar," came a strained voice over the radio. "All ships, fall back to defensive positions." The proud Saurian commander sounded shaken. His perfect assault had become a disaster in minutes. Ships that had seemed invincible were being torn apart by creatures that looked like space rocks. "They're adapting too fast," reported a Vaxian telepathic officer. "Every weapon we use, they learn to counter. Their evolution rate is impossible." Jin nodded to himself. The aliens saw adaptation as something that took generations. They couldn't understand creatures that evolved in real time. Sergeant Kim Na-young appeared at Jin's shoulder. The Special Forces leader moved quietly, like she always did. "The alien fleets are in full retreat," she reported. "Heavy casualties across all species." "Casualties from what should have been an easy victory," Jin said. "They expected their technology to solve everything." The battle continued for another hour. The Galactic Fleet's retreat became a rout. Ships designed to be unbeatable fled from creatures they couldn't understand. Admiral Velthari's voice crackled over the communication system. "Human ships, maintain rear guard positions. Prepare for evacuation duties." Jin watched more alien vessels fall to the swarm. The creatures that had seemed primitive were systematically destroying the galaxy's most advanced military force. "Sir," Lee asked, "what are we going to do?" Jin had been studying the swarm's behavior patterns, the way they moved, the way they attacked, the way they adapted. "They're not random," he said finally. "Look at their movement patterns." On the display, the swarm creatures seemed to move in chaos. But Jin saw something else. Under the random motion was organization. Not the rigid order of a hive mind, but something more flexible. "They're hunting," Jin realized. "Like pack animals." That changed everything. Technology couldn't counter hunting instincts. Energy weapons meant nothing to creatures that had evolved to survive. But humans understood hunting. They had evolved alongside hunters. "Signal the fleet," Jin ordered. "We're falling back to the Proxima Centauri system." The retreat continued through the night cycle. Damaged alien ships limped away from the battlefield. The swarm followed but didn't pursue aggressively. They seemed content to claim the Kepler-442 system. In the human fleet's conference room, Jin met with his senior officers. The mood was grim but determined. "The aliens' weapons don't work," Sergeant Chen Wei-Ming reported. He was a quiet man with steady hands and sharp eyes. "The swarm adapts too fast for energy weapons." "Their tactics don't work either," added Corporal Kim Tae-ho. "Perfect coordination means nothing when the enemy moves like a pack." Jin nodded. "They're thinking like technologists and evolutionists. But we know something they don't." "What's that, sir?" Lee asked. "Sometimes the old ways work better than the new ones," Jin said. "Sometimes primitive beats advanced." He looked around the room at his officers. These weren't enhanced beings with natural weapons. They were just humans with training and experience, but they understood things the aliens didn't. "Prepare our special units," Jin ordered. "When the swarm hits Proxima Centauri, the aliens are going to need our help." "Will they ask for it?" Chen wondered. Jin smiled grimly. "They will. Pride goes away fast when you're losing." The human fleet continued its retreat, following the alien ships to the next defensive line. Behind them, the swarm consolidated control of the Kepler 442 system. The galaxy's most advanced military force had been defeated by creatures they thought were primitive. Soon they would learn that sometimes primitive was exactly what you needed. And sometimes the most advanced weapon was an old friendship. The Proxima Centauri system burned with weapons fire. For 3 days, the combined galactic fleet had held the defensive line. Now that line was breaking. Commander Zethkar gripped his command chair as another explosion rocked his flagship. The Saurian leader's scales had lost their proud shine. His yellow eyes showed fear for the first time in decades. "Sir, the swarm has broken through Sector 7, his tactical officer reported. "The Korathi energy barriers are failing." On the main screen, Zethkar watched his perfect battle plan fall apart. The swarm had learned from the first battle. They came in new forms now. Some looked like metal insects, others moved like liquid metal, all of them hungry. Admiral Velthari's voice came over the communication channel. Her usually calm tone carried stress. "Hive mind coordination is insufficient. The swarm's chaos tactics disrupt our planning algorithms." A Zenthari dreadnought exploded in the distance. The pride of cybernetic engineering became twisted metal and floating debris. Their advanced implants had meant nothing when the swarm adapted to their technology. "All ships, fall back to the inner system," Zethkar ordered. The words tasted bitter in his mouth. Another retreat, another failure. The communication channel crackled. "Commander Zethkar, this is Lieutenant Colonel Jin Park. We're standing by to assist." Zethkar's pride flared despite his desperate situation. "Human ships will maintain support positions. We can handle this ourselves." But they couldn't. The swarm pressed forward like a living wave. They consumed everything in their path: energy shields, plasma weapons, advanced armor. Nothing stopped them. Hours passed. The alien fleet retreated further and further. Ships designed to conquer worlds fled from creatures that shouldn't exist. Finally, desperation overcame pride. "Colonel Park," Zethkar said quietly into his communicator, We request human assistance." There was a pause. Then Jin's voice came back, professional and calm. "What kind of assistance do you need, Commander?" Zethkar's claws scraped against his chair. "We cannot stop them. Our weapons adapt too slowly. Our tactics are insufficient." "I see," Jin replied. "I can help, but I need full operational authority for my plan." Admiral Velthari's mandibles clicked angrily. "Impossible. Humans lack the tactical sophistication for coordinated fleet operations." Another alien ship died in a burst of plasma fire. "Your sophisticated tactics aren't working," Jin pointed out. "My people have different methods." Zethkar looked at his tactical display. Red indicators showed failing ships across the entire fleet. The swarm continued to advance. In a few hours, they would reach the inhabited planets. "Very well," Zethkar said finally. "You have operational authority. What do you need?" "Time and space to deploy my forces," Jin replied. "Pull your ships back to minimum safe distance. Let me bring up my special units." The alien fleet withdrew, confused and demoralized. Their commanders watched in puzzlement as human ships moved into new positions. The formations looked wrong, scattered, uncoordinated. On his command ship, Jin studied the tactical display with his senior officers. Captain Lee looked nervous about taking command from species that had ruled space for millennia. "Are you sure about this, sir?" Lee asked. "The aliens think in terms of technology and evolution," Jin replied. "They can't understand what's coming." Sergeant Chen Wei-Ming checked his equipment one more time. The quiet soldier carried gear the aliens had never seen, strange devices and unusual communication equipment. "All K-9 units report ready," Chen announced. Corporal Kim Tae-ho nodded from the scout position. "Sniper teams in position. We have eyes on the swarm advance." Jin opened a channel to all human ships. "This is Colonel Park. Today we show the galaxy what makes humans different, what makes us survivors." He paused, looking at the alien fleet hanging back in confusion. "Deploy the war dogs," Jin ordered. Across the human fleet, cargo bay doors opened. Small ships launched, carrying crews of 2 or 3 people. The aliens watching couldn't understand what they were seeing. "Colonel Park!" Zethkar's voice came over the radio. "What are those vessels? They appear to be inadequately armed." "They're not armed at all," Jin replied. "They're hunters." The small human ships spread out across space in patterns that made no sense to alien military doctrine. No formation, no coordination, no apparent strategy. But Jin wasn't thinking like an alien commander. He was thinking like something much older. "Master Sergeant Chen, you are cleared for deployment," Jin announced. Chen's ship moved toward the swarm advance. In the cargo hold, he checked on his partner one final time. Rex, a German shepherd, looked back with alert brown eyes. The dog's nose twitched, already picking up scents through the ship's air recyclers. "You ready, boy?" Chen asked softly. Rex's tail wagged once. The dog had trained for this mission his entire life, even if he didn't understand the stakes. Similar scenes played out across the human fleet. Soldiers preparing with partners the aliens had never imagined. Ancient bonds formed on a world the galaxy considered primitive. "Sir," Lee said, watching the tactical display, "the swarm is approaching our forward positions." "Let them come," Jin replied. "It's time they learned what they're really fighting." On the alien command ships, confusion reigned. Their sensors detected the approaching human vessels, but couldn't understand their purpose. The ships carried no plasma weapons, no energy shields, no advanced technology at all. "What are the humans doing?" Velthari asked over the communication channel. "Something the swarm won't expect," Jin answered. "Something that doesn't depend on technology or evolution." The first human ship reached the swarm advance. Chen's vessel landed on a large asteroid that the swarm was using as a staging area. The cargo hold opened. Rex bounded out into the zero-gravity environment, his specially designed suit allowing him to move and breathe. His enhanced senses immediately went to work. The swarm creatures on the asteroid moved like they owned it. They had adapted to every weapon the aliens used. They feared nothing the galaxy could throw at them. They had never met a war dog. Rex caught a scent. His training kicked in. Somewhere in the rocky tunnels ahead was a target. The dog moved forward with Chen close behind. For the first time in the war, the swarm was about to face something truly unexpected. Something that had evolved alongside humans for thousands of years. Something that couldn't be adapted to because it wasn't technology at all. It was friendship. Rex moved through the asteroid tunnels like he was born there. His paws found grip on surfaces that would challenge any alien soldier. Behind him, Master Sergeant Chen followed with quiet steps. The German shepherd's nose worked constantly. The swarm creatures left scent trails that no technology could detect. But Rex could smell them clearly. Fear, hunger, something else too, a sharp chemical smell that meant danger. "Contact ahead," Chen whispered into his radio. "Rex has found something." The dog stopped at a tunnel junction. His ears perked forward. His tail went rigid. Chen recognized the signs immediately. "Target acquired," Chen reported. "Rex is indicating multiple hostiles." On the command ship, Jin listened to the reports from dozens of human teams. Each one included a soldier and their canine partner. The aliens watching couldn't understand what they were hearing. "Colonel Park," Commander Zethkar's voice crackled over the radio. "What exactly are your forces doing? Our sensors show no weapons fire." "We're hunting," Jin replied simply. Rex padded forward into a large cavern. Swarm creatures filled the space like living shadows. They moved in patterns that had confused alien commanders for weeks. But to Rex, they were just another pack. The dog's lips pulled back in a silent snarl. His training took over. These creatures threatened his pack. They threatened Chen. That made them enemies. Chen saw Rex's posture change. The gentle family pet was gone. In his place stood 40,000 years of evolution, a predator shaped by humans to be the perfect hunting partner. "Go get them, boy," Chen whispered. Rex exploded into motion. His powerful legs launched him across the cavern faster than any alien soldier could move. The swarm creatures turned toward him, but they were too slow. The first creature fell to Rex's teeth. The second and third tried to adapt, the way they had adapted to every alien weapon. But how do you adapt to 40 pounds of muscle, bone, and determined loyalty? Rex moved through the swarm like liquid death. His teeth found weak points that no scanner had detected. His claws gripped surfaces that energy beings couldn't touch. His speed made their reaction time useless. Behind him, Chen followed with his rifle. Not an energy weapon or plasma cannon, just a simple projectile gun that fired metal bullets. The swarm had adapted to advanced weapons, but they had never faced something so primitive. Similar battles erupted across the asteroid field. Human dog teams struck like lightning. They hit targets the aliens could never reach and moved in ways no computer could predict. Luna, a Belgian Malinois, tracked swarm infiltrators through a damaged alien ship. Her handler, Corporal Park So Young, followed as the dog led them to creatures hiding in the ventilation systems. Shadow, a black German shepherd, detected swarm scouts before they could report back to the main force. His partner, Sergeant Lee Dong-wook, eliminated them with silent efficiency. Storm, a massive Rottweiler mix, held a defensive position while his handler called in support. The dog's presence gave human soldiers courage that no alien psychology could explain. "Impossible readings," Admiral Velthari reported from her command ship. "Human forces are achieving tactical objectives without detectable weapon systems." "How are they moving so fast?" asked a Xanthari general. "Our enhanced soldiers cannot match their speed." Jin smiled as he watched the tactical display. Red indicators showing swarm positions began disappearing one by one, not destroyed by massive weapons, but eliminated by precise strikes. "It's not technology," Jin explained to the alien commanders. "It's partnership." Rex bounded back to Chen's position. The dog's tail wagged as he looked up at his handler. The swarm creatures in the cavern were no longer moving. "Good boy," Chen said, scratching behind Rex's ears. "You're such a good boy." The praise meant everything to Rex, more than food, more than safety. He had done his job. He had protected his pack. Across the communication channels, human teams reported success after success. The swarm creatures that had seemed unstoppable were falling to attacks they couldn't understand or counter. "Colonel Park," Zethkar's voice carried a new tone, something like wonder. "What are these auxiliary forces you spoke of?" "Dogs," Jin replied. "Canines. We've been partners for thousands of years." Silence filled the radio channel. The alien commanders processed information that challenged everything they knew about warfare. "Biological entities," Velthari said finally. "But they show coordination superior to our hive mind protocols." "Not coordination," Jin corrected. "Trust." A Karathi general's voice crackled with energy distortion. "These creatures have no natural weapons, no armor, no technological advantages. How do they succeed where our evolution failed?" Jin looked at his tactical display. The swarm advance had stopped completely. Human dog teams were systematically clearing asteroid after asteroid. The unstoppable enemy was being defeated by creatures the galaxy considered primitive. They love us, Jin said simply. And we love them. That's something you can't adapt to. On the asteroids, the battles continued. But now they were hunts, humans and dogs working together the way they had for millennia, reading each other's signals, moving as one unit, fighting for each other. Rex detected a new scent, stronger than the others, dangerous. His hackles rose as he alerted Chen to something bigger ahead. "Command, this is Chen," the sergeant reported. "Rex is indicating a major target, something different." "Proceed carefully," Jin replied. "All teams, converge on Chen's position." The war was turning. The galaxy's most advanced species watched in amazement as humans and their ancient partners did what technology couldn't accomplish. They were winning through friendship. And the swarm was learning that some bonds couldn't be broken or adapted to. Some things were stronger than evolution itself. In the darkness ahead, Rex sensed something that would test that bond to its limits. His loyalty to Chen would face its greatest challenge. But 40,000 years of partnership had prepared them for this moment. The dog looked up at his handler with complete trust. And Chen looked back with the same faith that had shaped both their species. The final assault began at dawn. The combined galactic fleet approached the swarm's home system with humans leading the way. Ships that had once mocked human soldiers now followed their guidance. Rex pressed his nose against the observation port of the transport ship. His enhanced senses detected something massive ahead, something that made his instincts scream warnings. "Easy, boy," Chen said softly. "We're almost there." The German shepherd looked up at his handler with complete trust. They had fought together through a dozen battles. Rex would follow Chen anywhere. Colonel Jin Park stood on the bridge of the human command ship. Around him, alien officers worked alongside human crews. The mockery was gone. In its place was respect earned through blood and victory. "Approaching the system perimeter," reported Captain Lee. "Sensors show massive swarm concentrations around the central planet." Commander Zethkar's image appeared on the communication screen. The proud Saurian looked different now, humbled, grateful. "Colonel Park, my forces stand ready to support your assault," Zethkar said. "Your tactics have proven superior to ours." Admiral Velthari's mandibles clicked in agreement. "Hive calculations confirm human canine teams show highest probability of success." Jin nodded. "Thank you, but this mission requires something different. We're going into the heart of their nest." The alien commanders had learned not to question human methods. They had seen impossible victories. They had watched their most advanced weapons fail while simple partnerships succeeded. The assault fleet moved deeper into the system. The swarm's home world grew larger on their screens. It pulsed with unnatural life. Organic structures covered its surface like a cancer. "Life form readings are off the charts," Lee reported. "There must be billions of them down there." "All concentrated around one central structure," Jin observed. "That's our target." Rex and the other war dogs had been preparing for this moment. Enhanced environmental suits, special equipment designed for the final mission, but most importantly, the unbreakable bond with their human partners. The landing ships approached the planet's surface. Swarm creatures rose to meet them like angry clouds. But human dog teams were ready. Luna and her handler jumped from their ship into the chaos. The Belgian Malinois moved through zero gravity with practiced ease. Her teeth found swarm creatures that tried to intercept the landing craft. Shadow and Sergeant Lee provided overwatch from a high position. The black German shepherd's senses detected ambushes before they could spring. His warning allowed human soldiers to avoid traps that would have destroyed alien forces. Storm held the landing zone while transport ships unloaded. The massive dog's presence calmed human soldiers and terrified swarm creatures. His deep bark echoed across the alien landscape like thunder. Rex and Chen led the advance toward the central structure. The dog's nose guided them through tunnels that twisted deep underground. His enhanced senses detected the source of the swarm's coordination. "Command, this is Chen," the sergeant reported. "Rex has found it. The Queen's chamber." The tunnel opened into a vast cavern. At its center sat something that hurt to look at. The Swarm Queen was part organic, part machine, part something else entirely. Her consciousness controlled billions of creatures across the galaxy. She sensed the approaching humans and dogs. Her mental scream shattered alien communication equipment. Zenthari cyborgs collapsed as their implants overloaded. Vaxian telepaths cried out in pain as the psychic assault hit them. But Rex just growled. The dog's mind was simple, focused, loyal. The Queen's mental attacks meant nothing to him. He protected Chen. Everything else was noise. "She can't affect them," Jin realized over the radio. "The dogs' minds are too different, too pure." Rex padded forward into the chamber. Chen followed, his rifle ready. Around them, swarm creatures materialized from the walls. Thousands of them, more than any team could handle. The Queen's voice echoed in languages that shouldn't exist. She spoke of adaptation, of evolution, of the superiority of her perfect collective mind. Rex didn't understand the words. He understood that this creature threatened his pack. The dog launched himself at the Queen with 40,000 years of loyal evolution behind him. His teeth found flesh that had never been touched by physical attack. His claws gripped surfaces that energy weapons couldn't damage. Chen's rifle spoke in the ancient language of gunpowder and metal. Simple bullets found targets that plasma couldn't reach, not because of technology, but because of trust, because a man and his dog worked together perfectly. The Queen shrieked as her invulnerable form was damaged by primitive attacks. Her mental control wavered. Across the galaxy, swarm creatures stopped moving as their coordination failed. "She's losing control," Jin announced to the fleet. "All teams, press the attack!" Human-dog teams struck at swarm positions throughout the cavern. Each pair moved like one organism, sensing danger together, protecting each other, fighting with love stronger than fear. Rex held the Queen's attention, while other teams destroyed the organic machinery that amplified her power. The dog's courage inspired human soldiers to impossible acts of heroism. When Storm was wounded, protecting a landing zone, his handler carried the massive dog to safety. The man's devotion touched alien observers who had never seen such loyalty. When Luna was trapped by collapsing tunnels, her handler dug through rubble with bare hands until he found her. Their reunion brought tears to saurian eyes that had never wept for another being. The final moment came when the Queen's chamber began to collapse. Rex and Chen stood before the dying creature as her empire crumbled around them. "We did it, boy," Chen said, scratching behind Rex's ears. "You're such a good dog." Rex's tail wagged. He had done his job. He had protected his pack. That was all that mattered. The evacuation was swift. Human-dog teams extracted to waiting ships as the swarm home world died. The Queen's destruction sent shockwaves through the collective consciousness. On the command ship, Jin watched the planet break apart. 40,000 years of partnership had saved the galaxy. Commander Zeth Kar appeared on the communication screen. His expression showed wonder and respect. "Colonel Park," the Saurian said formally, "I apologize for my earlier words. We failed to understand the power of your auxiliary forces." "They're not auxiliary," Jin corrected gently. "They're family." Admiral Velthari's compound eyes reflected new understanding. "Hive calculations show these biological partnerships exceed all logical parameters. How is this possible?" Jin looked at Rex, who was being treated by medical staff. The dog's tail still wagged despite his injuries. His eyes still showed complete trust in his human companions. "Love," Jin said simply. "Something you can't calculate or adapt to." Weeks later, The Galactic Defense Council met again on Nexus Prime, but this time was different. Human representatives sat at the center table. War dogs rested at their handlers' feet. The motion passed unanimously. Human canine teams would be integrated into all galactic defense forces. The galaxy's most advanced species would learn from the most ancient partnership. Rex looked up at Chen as the vote was announced. The dog didn't understand politics or military strategy. He understood that his human was happy, and that made Rex happy too. 40,000 years of loyalty had earned its place among the stars. The galaxy was safer because sometimes the oldest bonds were stronger than the newest technology. Sometimes primitive was exactly what the universe needed.